Most of us would say that a joy-filled life is a great goal to have, but it's easy to feel like true joy is always just out of reach. That feeling is sometimes referred to as the joy gap, and that's the space between the joy we experience and the joy we believe we're capable of or deserve. And here to share more and help us narrow that gap is clinical psychologist Dr. Molly Burrets. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so glad to be here.
Oh my gosh, this is something that I feel like a lot of us think about and can't quite put into words, so I'm really excited that you're here today. Tell me more about the joy gap and why we should be paying attention to it.
Yeah, and people tend to think about this a lot at the start of a new year as we evaluate our lives and try to set goals. And the joy gap is important to close because it impacts our mental health, it impacts our relationships, it even impacts our productivity at work. And basically what it is everybody has an idea of the joy that they're capable of, and then we have the joy that we actually experience in life. The space between those two things is where people develop goals and want to change things and experience more joy.
Absolutely. And what are some of the biggest reasons that people might experience a joy gap, and how can they start really addressing it?
So one of the biggest reasons is people tend to miscalculate what actually creates joy. So we tend to focus on planning for these big experiences, right? Like planning a week-long beach vacation. We think that's going to bring us joy. But the research actually shows that planning small moments of joy during the day that require actually very little effort, but they require intentionality, that actually creates the conditions for people to experience joy much more than big events.
And how would people then start addressing it, doing a little more of those small things in a day? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah,
okay.
And you know yourself best, so you know what brings you joy, but it's about being intentional in doing it.
True.
You know, so I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna, play this little piggy with my daughter and hear her laugh, and that brings me joy. It costs nothing and it takes very little time.
So true.
You might wanna go for a 5-minute walk in the sun or call a close friend, things that are really quite low effort, but that we tend to get away from as we go through the busyness of our lives.
Yeah, we all, have that happen for sure. And tell me about glimmers, which are the opposite of triggers. I like this.
Yeah.
Okay, glimmers.
I love this new word because it has such a positive mindset.
It does.
Glimmers are these little moments in life where you experience joy that are unexpected but can deeply impact you. And if you have these experiences built up over time, if you intentionally cultivate glimmers in your life, they can really make a lasting impact over time.
Oh, okay, look for the glimmers. And how does social media, which is so big, and just the pressures of everyday life, impact our joy gap?
Social media is one of the biggest impacting factors right now. So, as you know, social media creates like a curated image of what someone's life is.
Highlight reel,
yes. Not a realistic, view of what someone's life is, but as humans, we naturally tend to compare ourselves with other people to judge our own progress. And we're comparing ourselves with something that's not real. So we always end up feeling like we're falling short. And I really encourage people, if you're going to use social media, try to move from a comparison mindset to more of an inspiration mindset. Use what people post to inspire you about what you want to pursue in life, but not compare yourself to where you are. And if you can't get out of the comparison mindset, which is totally understandable, I say log off of social media because there's a big world behind your screen with lots of opportunity for joy.
Yeah, you need that break. Everyone needs maybe a little bit of a social media break because thief is the comparison of joy, you know? And what's one simple step people can take today to close their joy gap and maybe hopefully find some more joy in the year ahead in 2025?
So focus on building the small experiences. Be really intentional about them. You could even give yourself a goal like, every day on my morning commute, I'm gonna find something that brings me joy. I'm gonna listen to my favorite song on the radio. I'm gonna call my mom, whatever it is. And if you build it up over time and really cultivate a practice of joy and a practice of gratitude, being grateful for what you do have, just taking notice of what you already have to already be joyful about, it will impact you over time.
Definitely. And life gets tough, like we've been talking about, and these are all really intentional, the tips that you just gave, but to also give us any overarching theme that you might have that you want people to know about of just maintaining this throughout the entire year too. Is it as simple as just the everyday notes, like you said, of the glimmer and looking for maybe the glimmers?
Well, here's the thing is that, we go through ups and downs with what we experience in our lives. And so when our circumstances are difficult, it's hard to be happy. But what's nice about joy compared to happiness is that happiness is something that happens to us, whereas joy is something that we create intrinsically for ourselves. So I just want people to remember that joy is always available to you, irrespective of your circumstances. When you are in a difficult situation, if you try to focus on gratitude, not being toxic positivity, of course, but what can you find to hang on to have an experience of gratitude, to find joy in the little things, and really hang on to that when you're going through a difficult time.
This was just, I feel like, exactly what I needed. So I hope it was something that helps everyone else too, because just even thinking, like you said, from happiness to joy and having that control that we have, for ourselves was just really insightful. So thank you so much for being here.
It's so good to be here. Thanks for having me.